Well, well, well. Despite all the odds, we got both of the long-awaited Dark Deception Chapter 5 voice reveals. It was highly speculated that we were going to get something big this week, since they usually drop huge news right before a Q&A. But I don't think anyone was expecting the voice reveals, but they're here now. And we now know what Puppet King and Darkstar sound like, and more importantly, what they reveal about Chapter 5. And believe me, they reveal quite a bit about Chapter 5, which I'll go over, so stay tuned. First, I'll be going over Darkstar's voice reveal, because it was hers that came out first, and because of that, I have a bit more to say than I do with Puppet King. The first line in Darkstar's voice reveal is this.
Hello, Doug. I'm Darkstar. Malik told me about you. You're quite the character.
I think this is obviously one of the first, if not the first line she says to us in Prison Panic. It's pretty hard to tell how this will play out in the level, but all that's certain about it for now is that it's definitely going to happen towards the start of the level. But this next line is very interesting. Take a listen.
There's no room for mediocrity to rise here, so be sure not to disappoint us.
It has the same line from the caption of this Darkstar teaser all the way back in 2023, so it's nice to hear it again coming from Darkstar herself. But where will this voice line happen in Chapter 5? Well, I think it's pretty clear that this will happen during one of her talent shows that she hosts, where prisoners will have to prove that they're worthy or they'd get executed by Darkstar. But there's something interesting here. Darkstar says to be sure to not disappoint us. Who is us? Does Darkstar have company with her watching the mortals perform? Or could it be Malik wanting to watch Doug perform whatever hidden talent he has? Either way, it's good to know now that Doug is performing in front of a proper audience and not just one demon. It really puts the stakes higher than it would have already been. Next is my favourite line from the voice reveal. This one.
Oh, is that so? Oh, I heard about your little castle. Tough break. Maybe you should go focus on that for a bit.
This seems to be a line from Darkstar that happens in the middle of a conversation or argument with Lucky. As we've known for quite a while now, Darkstar and Lucky are enemies, and we will see that in Chapter 5, but now we have a snippet of it. The castle Darkstar is referring to is the Joy Land castle, and we know that nothing really happens to it in the current version after we leave Mascot Mayhem, which we were told will change in Enhanced Plus. But this confirms that whatever happens to Lucky's little castle is very bad and he doesn't like it. We don't know what Lucky said that had Darkstar react this way, but if we had to guess based on this line, Lucky tried to insult Darkstar about something, since it would make sense with Darkstar's response of, "Oh, is that so?" then, "Oh, I heard about your little castle." Why would she bring up the castle if he didn't bring up something similar related to her, like the prison? Since Lucky is in this scene, it's clearly not happening in Prison Panic. It's definitely happening afterwards, like in Fear Fortress. So I think that Doug managed to destroy Darkstar's prison like how he destroys every other nightmare he's been through. And that's why I love this voice line so much. It has huge implications on the story, and we finally get a glimpse into Darkstar's and Lucky's beef. Anyways, you know the deal. Here's the next line from Darkstar.
Nuh-uh. You only get one chance, sweetie.
I personally think she's talking about mortals having only one chance to perform, to impress Darkstar and her, us. But we don't know if she's talking to Doug or not, because this isn't the face you'd call sweetie. We know there's going to be other mortals in Prison Panic, so I predict that we're going to see one of them perform, then lose, then get executed. Speaking of getting executed, Darkstar's last line in this voice reveal is this.
That's right. It's execution time!
We've come full circle with this, because just like the first voice line, this one also speaks for itself. It's execution time indeed. Is this line going to be used for an NPC's execution, or is it going to be used when Darkstar tries to execute Doug? We'll have to wait and see. Some hours after Darkstar's voice reveal was uploaded, we got Puppet King's voice reveal. Honestly, I was expecting Puppet King's voice reveal to come like a couple weeks to a couple months after Darkstar's voice reveal, but here we are with both voice reveals only hours apart, which makes this one of the best days to be a Dark Deception fan in recent times. Here's the first line we hear from Puppet King.
All puppets are destined to be controlled by a master. By a puppet king.
So, obviously, the puppets are the mannequins. But this line might imply something pretty big in Puppet King's story. He named himself. He named himself after his desires to be both a puppet master and a king. So of course, the name Puppet King fits him well. Then Puppet King says this:
Fear me, obey me, and I will be your king.
It seems like he wants control over Doug, to be his king, and in turn, Doug becomes one of his puppets. He wants Doug, or his mannequins, to obey him because they fear what he will do if they don't. And once again, Puppet King is obsessed with the idea of being an all-powerful king. Speaking of Puppet King being a proper powerful king, listen to this.
And yet, I am powerless. A king without a crown.
Even though he was pretending to be the most powerful king in his last two lines, he admits that he is in fact powerless. All because he doesn't have a crown. We know that he is pretty insecure about not having a crown, and Malak refuses to give him one, probably because Puppet King has the potential to become an elite demon and Malak wants him to be below him, serving in his realm and not equal to him with his own nightmare realms. And if you haven't noticed by now, Crownless King is a name for the OST that plays during his boss fight. So if I had to guess, maybe this voice line happens around the time of his boss fight. By the way this line is delivered, it doesn't sound like it's happening during some action, so it's most likely going to happen like right before the boss fight. Next, Puppet King says something scary to Doug.
You will surrender your soul, whether you want to or not.
Things start to get serious from here. This is clearly a threat. There's not much to say about this line in particular since literally everyone has threatened Doug at some point. But yeah, this might happen when something intense is going to happen in Holiday Horror. Now give it up for the best line from Puppet King so far.
Do not fear death, Ringbearer. Such fear is beneath you.
The reason why I think this is the best line from this video is for two reasons. One, we see a nickname for Doug by Puppet King, Ringbearer. A lot of the monsters with a proper mind have their nicknames for Doug, like how Lucky calls him Buddy and Mama Bear calls him their guest. To call Doug Ringbearer is pretty interesting though, because he's like very aware that Doug has collected all the ring pieces that came before him, which makes him a huge threat to Puppet King and his realm, even if he's just a mortal. The second reason for why this line is so good is that it slightly changes what we thought the dynamic between Puppet King and Doug would be. Of course, they are enemies, because that's how dark deception works, but why is he telling him to not fear death and that fearing it is beneath him? Does Puppet King secretly respect Doug even though Doug is only there to get the very thing that's holding his maul together? Whatever it is, the stakes are clearly high for Puppet King and Doug's interactions, especially since Doug will be able to talk now. And here's the last line from Puppet King, a very simple one.
Death is a mercy.
I think this reinforces one of Beerus's very first lines in the game.
Fail, and you'll find there are fates far worse than death awaiting you here.
We already know that this sort of fate could be related to having your soul belong to Malak after you lose, and Puppet King is just reminding Doug about that because he wants to kill Doug himself. And with that, that's all for the Chapter 5 voice reveals this time around. But that begs the question, will there be any more Chapter 5 voice reveals? Right now I'd say the answer is probably not. The main faces of Chapter 5 are Puppet King, Darkstar, and of course, Malak. We now know how they all sound like. Any other character with a voice in Chapter 5 is probably going to be kept a secret until Chapter 5 is out, so the next voice reveal will probably happen in Chapter 5 itself. I know this video is short because there's only a handful of voice lines that came from these voice reveals, and I probably missed some details, but what do you think? Let me know in the comments section because I like to see the new theories that come from this huge news drop that is the Chapter 5 voice reveals.